The problem isn't having multiple interests. The problem is learning to manage those multiple interests. So, and in this sense, this is why my channel is called The Jack, because I'm teaching how to manage multiple passions. I'm teaching you basically how to be a fucking a creator. You know what I mean? When you think about God wasn't just like, I just create animals and that was it. No, the nigga was creating planets, animals, space. And I use that as an example, not to be like religious, but I use that as an example to say, if God is the ultimate creator and he was not a specialist, like, oh, I'm just creating this. You know what I mean? Like, why should we be that? We're pieces of God. We are technically God. Why should we limit ourselves to creating just one thing? Why should we limit ourselves to just being little pieces in a fucking giant machine? How about you be the maker of the machine? How about you be the controller of the machine, of the whole machine? Not just a little piece where you turn this knob and it does this specific thing. That's what specialization does for you. It puts you in a box. Like, if you're someone who thinks differently than other people, if you're someone who borderline, like, sometimes you may be thinking like, yo, I'm low-key a genius type shit. You probably are. You just have to tap into your godlike nature. And that's by learning how to build multiple skills and manage your multiple interests. I was able to do this in a few different categories of my life and actually get good in these areas in my life because of the fact that I wasn't limiting myself to I just do this thing. I just do this thing. This is all I do. This is all I do. Like, you're not a fucking robot, dude. You're a creator. You reflect God. God is the creator of everything, you know? And obviously, we don't want to be the creator of everything because there's shit I don't like to do. But the things I do like and the things I genuinely want to have a piece of me in, I create systems and I create systems and I practice these things to be able to build skills in it. So here's how to actually manage your multiple interests. I've seen such bullshit advice on the internet, and I want to give you some real shit that's like actionable that you can start using. First of all, if you work a job, a full-time job, and that's taking up way too much of your time, you need to find a job where you could control your time. For me, this was delivery, and I still do this to make my income while I'm building on the side, while I'm building my business, while I'm building my brand, while I'm building my art. How I make a flexible income is by doing delivery. There's 1,000 different ways you could do this. You could start reselling stuff. You could start flipping stuff. If you already have a service or something you could offer to people, you could start freelancing online. You could start doing stuff like that. You just need to find a way that you can make enough money but still be in like almost complete control of your time. You obviously have to commit time to make money, but if you can be more in control of your time than you are now, if you feel like that's something that's holding you back, then you need to find ways to do that. Or you can, if you have a job or whatever, keep that job and figure out how to use your off time before and after work to be able to put into these multiple interests and stuff that you want to do. So that's the first thing. You need to control your time. Take control of your time, what you do in your time. The second way to manage multiple interests and actually be good at these things is you need to make fast progress. Slow progress is good sometimes, don't get me wrong. Slow progress is good sometimes. But if you never make fast progress, it's going to take way too long. You're basically going to be wasting your time in a sense. Like, You need to figure out how to make fast progress in this sliver of time that you have for this specific interest. How you do this is by figuring out what are the most important actions that you need to take in this thing to make progress, and really lock in the time that you dedicate to this thing. Really lock in on taking those actions, despite how it may feel. That's what will help you make the most progress as quickly as possible. For example, in the gym, if you want to build muscle as fast as possible, it's not about going in there and doing a million reps of light weight or doing a few reps of extremely heavy weight. It's not about that. It's about controlling the intensity in almost any skill. The intensity of practice is the thing that's going to help you improve the most. And I learned this by being an athlete. I used to run track. When I started to run against faster people, I started to get faster. I started to perform better. Same thing in the gym. How hard are you going? It's not just about, oh, I'm going in the right direction. No, like, how hard are you going? That's extremely important and is underrated. You don't need a whole bunch of time. You need accurate, pinpointed, intense, deep work in a specific area. Whatever thing that you're trying to learn, whether it be creating, graphic design, making music, whatever, just learn the basics first. Start out with the basics. You know what I mean? Don't overwhelm yourself at the very beginning because you're a beginner. So just start out with the basics. For example, when I first started making music, it was, how do I even make a song? Oh, well, there was an app on a phone called BandLab where you can literally just make a song on your phone. That's perfect for beginners. Let me do that. Started doing that. Okay, well, how do I make my music better? Well, in the app, you could do this, you could do that. Oh, okay, dope. Let me do that. Okay, well, how do I make it better? You feel like you're good enough, and at that level, you probably want to use a professional music software where you can actually do more. Oh, okay, dope. Let me do that. It develops as you go, but start with learning the basics. If you have the foundation with the basics, you'll already be a step ahead, a step closer to the level where you want to be. Once you know the basics of something, once you have the foundation of something, it'll never leave you. You always have a foundation. Once you build the foundation, that foundation is there. That's why it's called a foundation. And this will set you up for success as you continue to learn these different skills. Learn the basics. This one, I would say, is optional. It depends on what kind of person you are and what your actual goals are for what you're doing. If you really want to improve in one aspect over the others, at the time you're prioritizing one skill, you're prioritizing one interest, and you really want to improve in that the most, you have to tunnel vision that. But here's the thing, it don't have to be forever. It's until you create a little bit of success or some noticeable progress in it. And then you could kind of take off the tunnel vision blinders, and then if you want to continue to build in your other interests and whatever. That's the route I took with making music when I first started a couple months ago. And I was able to make a lot of progress very quick, but I tunnel visioned that. I stopped working out as much. You can go look at my old videos. You can see me now compared to how I was then. I'm not lifting weights. I still work out. I still run. I do some push-ups, and, I still keep myself in shape. I still keep myself active, because I don't want to lose my athleticism. I'm also super athletic. That's one of my skills. But I almost put a stop on that for a minute and just went tunnel vision full force into music because I understand what it takes to get to the next level in something. And it takes a lot of effort. I'm impatient a lot of the times. I want to just go balls to the wall on some shit for a short period of time and get as good as I can get, you know what I mean? Like, that's the type of person I am. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know, but that's the type of person I am. I do that because it works. I actually improve in these areas when I tunnel vision it. And I'm talking about not doing anything else. I wasn't socializing. I'm not going out. I'm working and I'm making music. I'm working and I'm making music. I'm working. Before that, I was working. I was going to the gym. I was working. I was going to the gym. That's literally all it was. Or working and making content. Working and making content. When I want to get good at a skill, that's all I focus on. And then I take off the blinders a little bit. So that's one approach you can take. Or another approach you can take is, if you're a more balanced person and you don't really feel like you need to get as good as something so quick and all that stuff, you feel like you could take a more healthy approach to it, I guess. What you can do is just dedicate a specific amount of time to, okay, I'm going to do this for an hour a day. I'm going to do this for an hour a day. I'm going to do this for an hour a day. And I'm going to just keep doing that every day. You still have to be committed to all of it, but an hour a day, an hour a day, an hour a day. These are the skills that I'm building. These are my interests that I'm building. This is what I'm doing. Or you could take the approach that I did. I recommend taking the tunnel vision approach if you're serious about really making progress in a certain interest or skill, because you can get that first little bit of success faster. But it's so important, once you get that first little bit of success, that's such a pivotal moment, because now you basically just solidified, I have this skill. Like before, it was just kind of like, I'm building it, I'm working on it, I'm trying to build the skill, I'm trying to. No, you actually have a little bit of success now, even if it's a small bit of success, but it's still a win, it's still success. You now just solidified that you have that skill. So that's progress. You can now, if you want, pivot to something else, or you can just take that and run with it. You know what I mean? Fight your way to get that little bit of success. Then you can open up your vision, open up your eyes to other things. And also, you want to prioritize these interests and these tasks and all this stuff. You want to make sure you prioritize it based off what you feel like is necessity. So, for example, if you work a job and you're making decent money, you're making good money, you're the income from that is cool. You're living a sustainable life. You can pay all your bills. You save a little bit of money. You got a little bit of money to spend. That's cool. You got that income from that job or whatever. Now, with your interest, you want to prioritize, okay, what's the most important to me with my interest? Is creating art, expressing yourself being the most important, because of the fact your money is good over here. Is creating more important to you? Is making more money important to you? You know what I mean? So like, that's where you have to prioritize what means the most to you in the moment. And a lot of times this just comes from the heart. This is not something you have to think about. It's really just like, don't overcomplicate this. Just in this sense, just go where the road is taking you. If you feel like, for me, when I was grinding, doing working and stuff like that, doing delivery, I felt very like trapped. I felt very, alone, isolated. I felt very, almost like I needed a release. I needed to get something off my chest. I needed to express myself in a certain way. And I'm also a super creative person, and I feel like I have very good taste in music in terms of knowing what sounds good. So for me, it was just like, I just and I write a lot. I have notebooks full of like journals and writing and like stuff like that, poems and ideas and plans. So like, I think one day I just started writing a song. Like my heart just like, that's where it led me. You know what I mean? For you, it may be getting into the gym, or for you, it may be building another way to make money, doing a side hustle. It may be some kind of one of those interests, but just go where for that, just if your money's good, just go where your heart takes you. You know what I mean? For me, it led me to music. And I started creating music and I started making songs, and I'm like, it turned into, damn, I now want to get good at this. You know, fuck just making this. I want to create this. I want this to be my art. I want this to be what people know me for. Like, it developed into that. And I tunnel visioned it. Now, a couple months later, I'm taking my blinders off a little bit because it's like, oh, I got to make a little bit more money. Let me figure out some things here. I want to build my brand. I want to still make content. Let me figure out some things here. So now I took my blinders off a little bit so I could boost the other areas. I prioritize based on what I feel like is my necessity at the time. Right now, for me, my number one necessity is money. So I have to figure out how to make more money. Music, I prioritize that for a minute. Cool, I made progress. Okay, how do I make more money? You know what I mean? For someone else, it may be money may be good. Okay, let me prioritize this interest. Let me prioritize my art or whatever it is so I can make progress in that. Tunnel vision that for a little bit. Okay, let me switch to this because I want to do this now. Tunnel vision that for a little bit. Okay, let me switch back to this. You prioritize based on what you feel like is a necessity at the time. And a lot of times too, once you start to prioritize one thing and you start to see success in it, you may just take that thing and run with it and say, fuck everything else. You know what I mean? You may decide that you want to specialize in something. So either way, this path is like the best path you can take, because you're either going to find something that you want to go balls to the wall and specialize in, or you're going to build multiple interests and multiple skills across different areas that eventually lead to you being successful as a jack of all trades, being successful in that sense. A renaissance man, being a innovator, you know what I mean? Being someone like Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, being one of these geniuses. Do what you feel like is right for you, but make sure you get the most out of yourself. Don't cut yourself short. Don't slack. You know what I mean? Because if you're doing multiple things, it's easy to slack. If you follow some of the advice in this video, I think it'll get you way closer to being where you want to be in life. That's the point of this channel. The Jack is to teach you how to become a master of the chaos.